when it comes to the background check bill, some of you may not like what I'm going to say, but I spent hours and hours with Senator Manchin and Pat Toomey going over what's in that bill. And I'm a little upset with one, and this whole debate's gotten so polarized that it's really hard for anybody to be intellectually honest about what any of these bills say. Sort of when I went through, what has four legs and chases cats, things aren't the way they appear to be. I'll be candid, unfortunately, with the background check, that's really what the case is right now. The initial background check bill that Schumer put in was deplorable. There's no way any of us could support it. It was gun registration. There's no two ways about it. The Manchin-Toomey bill, despite some of my colleagues in the gun rights movement talking about that it's registration, it is not registration. To be perfectly candid about it, it states in it that no guns can be registered. It also carries a section in it that any federal or any state or any gun dealer or anybody with access to the NICS check records who misuses those records for registration purposes commits a felony with up to a 15-year prison term. That's really great protection for us. Right now, any gun sold through a dealer that goes through a background check, there is no protection. If somebody were to misuse that list, nothing happens to them. Now they will serve up to 15 years in prison for misusing that list, if in fact they do so. That's great protection. It's the first time we've had protection. Other things in that bill, which my side's not talking about, and we're not talking about it for a reason. If we talk about it too much, the other side's going to find out about it, and they're going to realize that we're going to win onto this thing. The background check bill in there is not even a universal background check. It's at gun shows, commercial venues, or the internet. And, to be candid about it, it doesn't cover family members of any kind, or your friends, or any gun transaction not done at a gun show, or basically on the internet. It gives protections. If you do go through the background check, you as an individual will now get both civil and criminal liability protection that you don't have now if somebody sold a gun to somebody and they misused it. Nobody can sue you, even in civil court, for damages. That's great protection that you don't have right now. There's about 10 other important things in there. One is right now, some of you all read in the newspapers that a lot of veterans are being disarmed, so to speak, because they come back from combat in Iraq and Afghanistan, and all of a sudden, because they go around process and had stress problems, the VA now turns their name into the NICS system, they can't own a gun. This new bill, this background check bill, has a provision in there to eradicate that. Their rights will be restored. It goes on and on, traveling across the country. It gives you more protections with your firearm for people to take your gun from state to state than you have now. Another important one, you cannot now legally buy a handgun in a state that you don't live in. If you're not a resident of the state, you can't buy a handgun. Under the so-called background check bill, you'll be able to buy a handgun in all 50 states. As long as you buy it from a licensed dealer, you can buy it from anywhere you want. There's a million other checks in there. It's a Christmas tree. We just hung 1 million ornaments on it. We're taking the background check and making it a pro-gun bill. Unfortunately, some of my colleagues haven't quite figured it out yet because they weren't sitting in the room writing it. My staff was. I'll be perfectly candid about it. This will probably break on Monday in the Wall Street Journal. So you're getting a little bit of inside baseball right now. So a lot of my people are going to oppose it because they don't want any kind of background check at all. But let's be honest with you, philosophically, in a perfect world, I don't want any background check either. But I also don't want criminals buying guns and killing people with them. And I can't justify morally that a person walks into a gun show, buys a gun from somebody without giving his name, the guy can hardly speak English, and he walks out the door with that firearm with no check, nothing at all. It goes on every day at every gun show. I want to be honest with you. We can't tolerate that. We're going to lose all our rights if we allow that to continue to go on. It's not a sustainable position for us to take. Yes, we might be able to win the battle this time and stop it in Congress. You're going to lose the war over time with that. And when you lose that, your Republican candidates, they're going to run on that, with Mike Bloomberg spending millions of dollars in their districts and wiping them out. And then the Democrats get there who don't want background checks, they want gun bans. It's not a tenable position for us to take. We're marching off the edge of a cliff with it. So the trick is if you can get a background check that doesn't do anything to you, basically, and if you have a concealed weapons permit, the way we're in any state, or a gun license of any kind in any state, under the Toomey Manchin proposal, there is no background check. You have to fill out the 4473 form. It stays in the dealer's file and never even gets called into the government. That's what we're calling a background check. If you really read what's in the Manchin-Toomey bill, man, it's a godsend. And what it gives us back we win rights back like crazy. We're also going to get, which nobody knows about yet, but either on Tuesday when this gets passed, and believe me, it's going to get passed big, or on Wednesday or Thursday thereafter, there's another amendment that's going to go to that bill. Right now, Chuck Schumer killed federal restoration of firearms rights for anybody that has a white-collar crime. You can't get your rights restored. What's going to happen is there's going to be an amendment to that bill on the floor of the Senate restoring those rights. Chuck Schumer's going to vote against it. He's pissed off about it. It's not part of the main part of the bill because he stopped that, but it's going to pass. So we have enough Democrats to come with the Republicans to pass that for restoration of rights that don't exist right now. Another victory for the gun rights movement. The problem is a lot of the people in the gun rights movement, because they dug themselves in on this, saying they would oppose any kind of background check no matter what, are not at the table and they're not able to write the legislation. Believe me, I'm solidly 100% pro-gun. When we get back in return for a meaningless background check, which I admit will not solve the problem, criminals will still get their guns anyway, we get back a whole bunch of things we don't have right now. We get more rights and more freedom. To me, that's a win. I think we snookered the other side. They haven't figured it out yet. I can't shoot my horn about it in the media, but I will admit it's going to break in Monday's Wall Street Journal. Yes, ma'am.